Welcome back to Pepperjack Hawk Studios. This is your host, Pepperjack Hawk. I'm sorry if there was an echo last time. We may have figured out the mic, so good news, maybe not in the future. So, part 4, maybe the last, maybe not. We'll keep it open, fluid. First line, The Crippled King by Trae Mcmaken. This is about a dwarf. Well, a bunch of dwarfs, probably, so let's take a look. We're knocking everything over. We're ready. The life of a dwarven prospector is one of shame, loneliness, and a constant battle for survival. Striking it rich is the only way for Nanan to keep his bones from bleaching in the sun, without heritage or memory. Interesting. Let's see. Get right into it. This first chapter, The Claim. It had been 17 years by his reckoning since he climbed the winding stone to the surface and squinted at the bright lights of the sun. He had only seen a handful of souls since then, few other lone prospectors as bedraggled as he, and a trade caravan, to which he sold a lump of copper in exchange for a new shirt. Dwarf? But we got a prospector feel like. I'm not sure, but I'm excited, and it's a series, so you know it's gonna be good. Another Michael Wisehart book. This is a prequel series to the one I showed you last time, the White Tower one. Anyway, this is called The Street Rats. Book Rats of Aramor. Book 1, Banished. Arian is the worst assassin his people have ever seen. Mercenary who doesn't like to kill. Desperate to become the youngest warrior of his clan, Arian will stop at nothing to reach his goal. Not even the one thing all Uppikins fear, magic. If you remember anything from the last one, magic is kind of crazy in this world. So, we're not allowed, right? Chapter 1. Move it, Arian. You stop, you die. My words echoed off the mountainside as I fought to make it up the steep granite wall in front of me. The shelf I needed to reach was close. I was nearly there. The excitement of finishing before the others had me climbing even faster. Such a great author. You're getting little snippets into books I like to read. And so, we're going to keep going. Prince of... Oh, I don't know where this is. Prince of Fear. Miles Lyon. Or Leon. I've heard a lot of people recommend this, so we'll see. And I think we have read the back. So, let's get into the first line. Death and Truth. Truth is a simple death. That was the principle of station that Animira Lestrade, memory of crime and greatest extractor of truth in all of Innis, reaffirmed to herself again as she prepared for the interrogations to come and the killing that would follow. Whoa. Interrogations. Killing. I mean, this has a lot already. I think I just don't know where to position this. We're learning, but looks really cool. Okay, we got a couple more. Stephen Brust. Book of Jareg. First 3 adventures of Vlad Taltos. Another assassin-esque type person. There are many ways for a young man with quick wits and a quick sword to advance in the world. Vlad Taltos chose the route of assassin. To his other qualifications, he added 2 things. The first was a smattering of witchcraft, badly thought of on Dragira, but only a fool refuses a weapon. Second was his constant companion, a young Jireg, its leathery wings. Let's see. And poisonous teeth, always at Vlad's command. Let's get into it. And this has a prologue, so we'll get a snip peek. There is a similarity, if I may be permitted, to an excursion into tenuous metaphor, between the feel of a chilly breeze and the feel of a nice blade. It's either laid across the back of the neck. I can call up memories of both, if I work at it. Chilly breeze is invariably going to be more pleasant memory, for instance. And then, in that first chapter, chapter 1. Success leads to stagnation. Stagnation leads to failure. I slipped the poisonous dart into the slot under the right collar of my cloak, next to the lockpick. It couldn't go in too straight, or it would be hard to get to quickly. It couldn't go in at too much of an angle, or I wouldn't have room to left for the garrote. Just so there. Wow. He's getting ready to do stuff. Okay. So I just find lots of books, I think, and you've seen a lot of first liners. Okay. Winter Moon, The Shadow of the Winter Moon. Book 1 of the Craven Chronicles by Sinclair. Maleficent forces are stirring in Craven City. Sherrock is a brutish sellsword with a hard temper and a harder reputation. His life is cast into chaos and mortal peril when the simple task of locating a hopeless drunk and vagabond reeling hangs turns out to be much more difficult than anticipated. Let's see. Chapter 1, Bonded by Blood. By the bells, that hurts, hissed Hooney, trying his best to keep the tears that welled in his eyes from spilling out. The boy watched in growing horror as Tober, his longest and best friend of all, pulled a splinter the size of a large roofing nail from his forearm. Some good lining already. Even something as simple as pulling a splinter. I was hooked. Okay. I may have a thing here where I'm hooked every time, but, still. Okay, next one, The Executioner's Apprentice by D.K. Holmberg. Executioners search for justice, not vengeance. Finn questions why it can't be both. Well, let's see. Chapter 1. The steady tolling of the Shenzhen bell rang out as Finn Jagger followed Master Mayer through the street. He looked up to the tower in the distance, noting the massive spire rising over the city, casting a faint shadow on everything. He counted off the number of times the bell rang, and when he neared 10, he glanced over to Master Mayer. Didn't give us enough yet, but it's setting the scene. And sometimes that's all you need, set the scene. Now, next we have Darkthorn Academy by Robyn Wideman, Menacing Misfits. So this one... Hey, Shorty, where are you going? Jack kept walking down the dark and narrow alley. He immediately regretted the decision to take a shortcut away from the busy main street. He ignored the voice behind him. He heard it all before. Shorty, little man, runt. Wouldn't be long before they moved on to a second round of racial slang and slurs instead of commenting on his height. Oi, short stuff, you deaf? It's a bowling. Someone's gonna pick a fight. Don't know much about it other than when I bought it, it looked good. And it still sounds good to me. We just gotta get to it. Another one, we've got The Song of the First Blade by T.C. Edge, the Bladeborn Saga. An ancient evil, a treacherous king, a mystery going back to the fall of the gods. Now this one is wrapping up with 7 or 8 books, so this is the first one. We got a long way to go, and they're big. This one is over 700, I think. We're close. No, I think, yeah, we're over 7. King Varian climbed the final steps of the great staircase cut into the mountainside, his regal silver armor gleaming radiantly in the morning sunlight. A resplendent blue cloak billowing behind him on the wind. Above, upon the plateau, the sound of clanging metal echoed loudly. ringing out through the mountains and the valleys as they tumbled into the mist below. He stepped to the summit and looked into the wide cave and mountain peak. A figure stood within, hammering at his forge. There's so many things I want to read. Do you ever get that, like, the feeling of just wanting to read some? We got shelves and shelves, books and books. Like, I still got one more. So, this one's called Ascend Online by Chmilenko. And it's like an RPG or something. Like, look how pretty this looks. Can't even get it all in justice. There's a warrior, there's a cat, there's a bunch of things going on. It's a big book. It's over 500 pages. And there's 2 of these that I have. Let's see. Chapter 1. Sunday, February 3rd, 2047. 6:43 a.m. 24-hour fitness augmented reality exercise simulator. Rah! I let out a grunt as I swung my fist through the air, feeling the telltale buzz of my haptic gloves shoot up my arm as my fist passed through the jaw of a shimmering opponent in front of me. Heartbeat later, the simulation reeled backwards as it quickly followed up with a combination of punches, breaking through my virtual opponent's defense. I mean, I like gaming, I don't know about you, so it's kind of drawing interestingness to me. Now, I wanted to look at my own writing, for example. It was a dark, awful, and super hot night. It was raining off and on. The rain dried as soon as it hit the concrete. The ground was so hot it would burn through the rubber soles of a pair of tennis shoes, and keep on burning right through the flesh all the way to the bone. The sky was a swirl of blackness that could only be described as a black hole. So we have air like a black hole, ground hotter than lava. So where was safe? The only answer was either it wasn't, in between, or somewhere else. So what happens next beats me. All we know is it's happening, and as far as we can see, there's no way out. And this is the start of a book I wrote. The premise is a man traveling on a Narnia-like adventure, but he's actually in a coma. So that's where I'll leave that interesting little snippet. But anyway, why do you read? I mean, I know why I read. Sometimes I just want to get lost in something else. I read because I'm very interested in swords, axes, dragons, Vikings, fantasy in general, occasional sci-fi, but mostly good old-fashioned sword fights, axe fights, different things like that. I want to write an epic one day, or a bunch of epics, or something small maybe. I don't know. I've got this yearning to learn all I can about writing and reading all I can. There's so much out there. I mean, I could find a book a day, and I do that sometimes. And I mean, books are a pathway into something different, something that is hard to explain or put your finger on, but if I had to explain or put my finger on, I think there's a sense of belonging in whatever you're reading. The adventure is open to you. The books you read are the portal there. Imagination happens in my head, but the words on the page just transport you somewhere else. The day-to-day life sometimes can be mundane, or sometimes you just like a little excitement that something different. I mean, sometimes people like reading interesting informational books. Some people like reading stuff about how to do something. Like I read books on how to write sometimes, but mostly I read stuff that is like fantasy, high, crusades, fights good against evil. So just find what makes you read and let me know if you want. We can start a discussion. I'm trying to build something here. And if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and this is Pepperjack Hawk signing out.